A salesman and an entrepreneur walk into a bar. The entrepreneur says, "Oh, woe is me, why am I not an internet millionaire by now?" The salesman says, "Oh, wait, millionaire, yeah, you know what, that is my area of expertise, and I will tell you everything I know. All you have to do is give me $1. The entrepreneur thinks, "Oh, well, $1, well, maybe that's worth it," so he forks over $1. The salesman then, of course, disappears, but he does leave behind a little envelope. The entrepreneur opens the envelope eagerly and pulls out a card, and inside of it, it says, "Thanks for the $1. Now all you have to do is repeat what I did to you 999,000 times." This is not a joke. Well, certainly not a funny one. The point of the story is really about value, and I suppose that if you didn't know that all you need to be a millionaire is to get 1,000,000 people to give you $1, then perhaps it had some value to you. However, I suspect that, like most people, you were looking for something far more tangible, something you can sink your teeth into that'll give you better instructions on how to get there. Most snake oil scams are really actually a good metaphor for passive income strategies that are built on false promises. Don't get me wrong, passive income is real, very real, and it is in fact a big part of the secret of the ultra wealthy. However, you can't do it overnight. Scam artists make their money in two different ways. First is by pretending to make you money, and that's how they make their money. If you do what they say, then you wind up being the snake oil salesman. Here's an example. Make $1,000 a day writing Kindle books, and don't worry about it. If you can't write, oh, you can just outsource all of that. I'll teach you how to do that, and it'll only cost you $1. Sound familiar? The second way you get scammed is people who offer something of value to you, but then don't quite give you enough information to actually make money on it. So for that example, let's say, "I'll help you make $1,000 a day with your own Shopify store, and I'll show you exactly how to set up that Shopify store, how to link it through Oberlo to Alibaba Express, and then that's how you're going to make your million. It'll only cost you $1, and I'll show you how to do it." Problem, of course, with that is that having a store doesn't do much for you if you don't generate traffic to it, and they leave that part out, and that actually is the hard part of it all. And so starts the cycle of trial and error that consistently leads to disappointment and failure. Why aren't you an internet millionaire? Well, probably in part because you throw money at snake oil salesmen hoping something's going to stick. Well, doing that is the same as gambling. And why would you gamble when all you have to do is follow the things that work and are virtually guaranteed to always work if you do them and you do them properly? But I realize that that takes time and strategic planning. Welcome to our workshop on passive income. I'm Michelle Ryan, and today we're going to talk about why we're not all internet millionaires. More specifically, why you're not an internet millionaire, and what exactly you're going to have to do if you want to join the club. As a wealth strategist, and I've worked with more than 22 startups and hundreds of individuals, and I can tell you that what I've learned over the years is that if you're having trouble creating your online empire, you probably need to change your mindset and see things from a different perspective. Passive income ads usually start off with someone standing in front of a fancy car or a big house, and they show you how well that they've done and you can do it too. To me, those are snake oil scams. I see them and I think, oh gosh, if that's really what they're spending their money on, then they're gonna go broke. And why? Because most passive income online opportunities don't make money in the long run. They may have short bursts here and there, but they're certainly not passive for the most part. If you really want long-term wealth, there's a whole nother way you gotta go about doing it. For you to make passive income work in your life, you're going to need more than a Just Add Water website to make it work. You're going to need to know how it actually really works and how to make it sustainable. Yes, okay, I am going to show you the secret of the ultra wealthy, and I'll make sure that you really understand it, because you too are going to have to utilize it to make it work for yourself. Then we'll shift gears and we'll focus on what you have to do to create a successful internet business. Actually, I'll focus on 3 key factors. One is getting customers. I'll show you 20 different ways that you can do that. Second is generating traffic, and by that I mean just breaking through the noise of the internet. And thirdly is what you're going to do with that traffic once you get it. So I'm going to give you 15 ways that you can monetize yourself. Then we'll close with a few words about customizing your own strategy. If there's anything I've learned in more than 20 years of doing this, it's that wealth planning is a lot like ordering a pizza. I mean, I can give you a menu, I can explain what all the ingredients are, I can even let you taste other people's slices, but you're the one that has to pick the toppings. I guess my point is that creating the life that you want is something you're going to have to own and believe in. And the best way to do that is to create your own strategy for that. So we're going to talk about that at the end. For now, let's talk about that vicious cycle that we create for ourselves. Because we're so committed to finding a solution or to get a better life, we tend to fall into this repeating behavior loop. We want money or freedom or want to support our families better or just crave a different lifestyle. So we see an opportunity and we grab it. We take charge, we commit ourselves to it, we give it our best effort, and then it fails to get the results that it was promised. Filled with disappointment, we give up. We criticize ourselves for not being able to follow the instructions or mirror the examples that were given, or we feel maybe we didn't work hard enough. And we end up feeling worse than when we started. After sulking a bit, we find another snake oil on the market, and we quietly encourage ourselves. We say, this time will be different. I'll work harder. I won't give up. I'll be able to do it. So with big dreams of financial freedom, we commit ourselves, we work our butts off, and we again end in failure. This pattern can go on for years and years and still no closer to our goals. So how do we break this cycle? To break the cycle of madness, you'll need a plan that understands how passive income really works and how to make it last. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is that they set out to solve their immediate financial problems and not really set themselves up for long-term wealth. Having immediate concerns will drive you to various solutions, but they also blind you from the ability to see what you really have to do to make it work. So to see past this, we have to get serious about building a solid foundation for where passive income can thrive, and that is not going to happen overnight. So now the question becomes, are you willing to do things that won't pay off for months? What about years? Passive income is not going to pay your rent next month, but it might pay for your house in 5 years. And that's kind of the mindset you need to start to adopt. You need to lay the bricks for the foundation for what is eventually going to lead to your long-term success. Thanks to snake oil salesmen, there's a lot of misconceptions out there on what passive income actually is. Perhaps one of the biggest ones is that passive income requires no active participation. You make money while you sleep. You hear that all the time. But in reality, there's really only one passive income that does that, and that's earned interest. I know you're thinking dividends and royalties and websites, right? Well, let's think about that. Royalties require that you write a book and continue to market it and promote it. Earned revenue from dividends, that requires you to watch the stock and make sure it's not about to take a big dive. A website, any website, requires some kind of management and maintenance. And even if you outsource most of it, then you become a manager of a virtual workforce. So really, the only 100% pure form of passive income is interest. Let's go off on a tangent for just a moment. If I could guarantee you $1 million and a solid, dependable passive income stream, would that be of interest to you? Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you for $1. If I could give you the winning lottery numbers and all you have to do is buy the ticket, you'd buy it, right? I mean, if you believed it to be true. What if I told you the winning lottery numbers 10 years from now? Would you still go and buy the ticket? Well, probably. You'd set your calendar so you don't forget and you would still buy the ticket. But what if the drawing, in order to win, is something you had to do every single week for the next 10 years? And then you would become a millionaire. Now that is a little bit harder to do. Even if you thought I was from the future and I actually knew the winning lottery numbers, having the discipline to do something consistently and regularly over a long period of time, that is the difference between continuing the life as you are and dreaming for something better and actually achieving it. And yes, it is one of the big secrets of the ultra wealthy is that they were able to do this consistently over many years. Of course, I don't literally mean to go buy a lottery ticket, and obviously I'm not from the future, but I'm speaking of compounding interest. And compounding interest is, of course, the winning lottery ticket theoretically. It's the thing that always works, and all you need to do is buy it and buy it consistently over time. This workshop is going to focus on how to make extra money, but you can save yourself a lot of time and trouble if the extra money that you make, you're putting it into something that is compounding interest. You're going to get to your goals a whole lot faster. But before we get into all of that, let's make sure that we're all on the same page, and let me briefly explain compounding interest to you with this little example. So yes, passive income can be 100% passive, but more likely it's going to be 100% active, especially at first. And by active, I mean that you have to work at it. You have to do a lot of work, sometimes as much as like getting a second job. But over time, it becomes less active and more what I call semi-active, which means that you can't ignore it, but the day-to-day hard work is over. And then over time, the proceeds from your active and semi-active work can be invested, and that's how you start making 100% passive income. So in this course, we're going to talk about different ways to make active and semi-active online income that will eventually lead to your passive income. To make money online, you need to establish a revenue model. New income streams mean that you need to sell something, a product or a service. Take your day job, for example. You show up, you get paid. Presumably, the place you work considers you being there of some kind of value, and they're willing to pay you for it. That job is a source of revenue. If you want more money, then you need more sources of revenue. If you provide more value to people, then you can get more revenue streams going. But how do you do that? Well, we can sell something, right? Online, a product or a service. What do we need to sell them? Well, that depends on what they need. What do they need? Well, that's up to us to figure out. How do we figure that out? Well, we have to know our customers and their pain points. And once we figure it out, then we have to monetize that knowledge. Now, I realize I skimmed over a whole bunch of things, and if you're interested in learning more of that, I'll mention some systematic approaches to it and how we do that and other things that we offer at the end of this. But for now, let's stay focused on the free content that we're giving you, which is 15 ways to monetize yourself online. Yes, there are other ways than what I'm listing here, but these are the things that we have found successful with our clients over the past many years. First is selling tangible items directly to people. Second is drop shipping, like doing that through Shopify or Alibaba. Next is FBA, which is private labeling. Next is product flipping, so that's selling anything for more than what you paid for it. You can do that quite frequently on eBay. Next is print on demand, followed by affiliate links, getting people to click through, or doing lead gen. That brings us to ad sales, selling banners, for example, on your own website. And that leads us to pay-per-click on your own website through Google AdSense or others. Next is digital products and ebooks, anything that's downloadable. Followed by instructional courses, self-hosted or hosted on a larger platform such as Udemy. Next is memberships and communities. That's when someone pays to belong to your forum or your group. Next is entertainment streaming. And no, I'm not talking about porn, although that technically is one. I'm talking more about like a downloadable game that people play online, MMORPGs, or streaming like video content, film and television, of course, if you own the licensing. Next is software solutions, followed by sponsored posts or articles. And finally, working a combination of the above listed ways to monetize. Like I said before, there are others, but these are the ones that are most stable and almost predictable if you're doing them right. This is all well and good, but did you notice that they all have one thing in common? They all require that you generate traffic in order to make money, or what I call breaking through the internet noise. There are over 2 million blog postings added every single day, thousands of new websites added every single day. The internet is growing exponentially, and as it does, it's getting much harder to be found organically. Key phrases are being saturated with other people's SEO, and everyone seems to be clamoring for the same words and phrases. So, how do you break through the noise and get yourself heard? Let me start by giving you a brief overview of how to get those first 100 customers. Then we'll talk about 1,000 to 10,000, and then up to 100,000, then up to 1,000,000. But it all starts with that first 100 customers. Your first 100 customers are not that difficult to get if you do it the old-fashioned way. You go out, you get them, you figure out where they're hanging out, you engage in conversation, and you point them towards your website. It's kind of hard to do depending on where they hang out, but you can always go and find them and convince them to buy your products. It's not easy, it doesn't make sense on a large scale, but to get your early customers, everybody seems to do this if they want to be long-term successful, because it gives you a chance to really talk to your customers and get to know them and understand their needs a little bit better. So those first 100 customers are found the hard way, one by one. Let me give you an example. Let's say you go to Reddit and you find your customers are hanging out there because they all agree on something in particular, or they like complaining about something in particular. So you go on Reddit and you read the forums and you listen to what they're saying and you engage in conversation with them. There are several ways you can do this that are not creepy and sleazy, and we'll go over those in other workshops, but not in this one. The point here is that cherry picking your early customers teaches you a lot, not to mention that it's a huge exercise in humility. Spinning that 100 customers into 1,000 requires a shift in your thinking, but still allows you to learn as you go and test your ideas and fine-tune your process. This is when you start playing with different marketing strategies, and you keep playing with them until you find the perfect mix for you and your business. And I'll go over some of those in just a minute, but let's finish this train of thought. Once you've gotten your first 1,000 customers, then you'll be in your marketing groove. You'll be able to fine-tune that as you throw your weight and your energy behind it, and that will lead to your first 10,000 customers. How quickly this happens will depend on your strategic approach and how you're able to fine-tune your marketing strategy to climb to 100,000. Kicking it up a notch, putting more time and more energy once you see what's working, is how you get to that 100,000. From 100,000 to 1,000,000 comes pretty quickly because now you absolutely know how to do it. So if you have the resources, you throw them into what works and you quickly can get up to the 1,000,000. Sometimes you might have to go up tenfold on what you're doing, but at least you know that what you're doing is working. How do you get a solid foundation for which you can build your techniques on? Well, that comes from your roadmap or your wealth strategy, and the details of which will be cultivated and customized based on you and your business and what you're comfortable doing. So let me give you 20 ways in which to reach customers. Now, as you can see, some of these are traditional. The ones at the top are all very traditional offline ways of doing it. Real life ads, television commercials, newspapers, what have you. A lot of people with online businesses go to events and trade shows. Why? Because that's where their customers are. You can stand there and talk to them. You can present or keynote speak. Speaking in presentations anywhere where your customers are, even if you're hosting them or giving them away for free, anywhere in the real world, you've got to get to your customers. You can use PR and press to also generate traffic to your website. So all the ones on top encourage people to go to your website and help generate traffic, but let's face it, some of them are kind of hard and they're certainly not for everyone. On the second row, we see that SEO, which of course is search engine marketing. And these are free things that you can do to get found organically. SEM is search engine marketing, so that's your pay-per-click and things that you pay for. Content marketing is offering something of value for free in hopes that people will come and visit your site after they've consumed that free content. Video marketing is either free or paid. You can make ads off of your YouTube, as you know, although it's hard to make decent amounts of money doing that. But you can also provide videos for other purposes, all in an effort to get people to eventually go to your website and look at your products and services. On the third row, you're going to see viral. Viral is like viral marketing designed to get pure word of mouth. You're hoping that people will share this and spread the word of your business, and that will generate traffic to your website. Another common way of doing it, especially hot right now, is social media marketing. So those are your Facebook ads or your Instagram. That's really important depending on who your target market is. Like right now, Snapchat is perfect for target markets for people under the age of 18, or basically 13 to 18. If you're pushing products for them or trying to generate their traffic, then you probably should be on Snapchat. Facebook is common for a slightly older crowd. Reddit is common for men between the ages of 18 and 25, and the list goes on. There's probably some sort of social media place that you can market to for pretty much any target market, including senior citizens, actually. Influencers are people who already have a following, and that following equals exactly the following that you're looking for. So if someone is already targeted successfully and has like a list of people, and you can get yourself affiliated with them or promote through them, then that's like a shortcut to your target audience. Email marketing is after you've started your own list and you have people's email addresses that fall into your target audience, and you can send them emails and announcements. Salesforce would be if your product or service is expensive, like at least $5,000, and you need someone to reach out on one-to-one, and either through the phone or through an email, or start a relationship with your potential client that may eventually lead to a sale. Partnering is similar to influences. You find people that being a partner with will help expose you to either new clients or to a different industry that maybe you don't have a presence in. So anyone that you could partner with, that you help them and they help you, is what partnering means. Communities is about really establishing or joining a preset community where your target audience already lives. Maybe that's not in a social media platform. SaaS and engineering marketing. So there's two ways to think about this. SaaS is software as a service. So maybe you host on your website some kind of a free service, which in a way is like content marketing, but it's a form of software. So like, for example, if you Google exchange rates and I'm looking for a place that I can type in an exchange rate and it will give me, I can type in $1 and it'll tell me what it's worth in pounds or euros, then I can host that service on my website, and that's what draws people to me. However, another form of engineer marketing is creating a software that solves a very specific problem, and they're not actually selling the software, you're giving it away for free, and that generates traffic to your website. And the last set that we have is affiliate marketing. Let's start there. You probably already know what that is, right? So that's when someone clicks through you to get to another place and you get a chunk of anything that they purchase. But the same is true coming into you. You give out yourself as an affiliate, and anyone that clicks through someone else's site and gets to yours and buys from you, then you give a chunk to someone else. So it goes both ways, and there's no reason not to do at least some of that. Affiliate marketing is so easy to help monetize any website. You can do it in a way that's blatantly obvious, like create an entire site that is nothing but affiliate links to various products or services, or you can do it in a much more subtle way, which is more coincidental. If someone clicks through to Amazon and then once they're there, they wind up buying something unrelated, you would still get a piece of that. Next is crowdfunding, and there's a lot of different and relatively new platforms out there for making money through crowdfunding. Next is location-based, and by that I mean like Google Maps or showing up on anything that's geotagged. It's interesting to see how many brick and mortar stores are not listed that way, and that's silly because people see that. Then you can do that for websites as well. You can geotag based on what a product or service that you sell that makes sense for that area. So if you sell ski supplies, then you want to geotag yourself in Denver, Colorado, for example. If you're a brick and mortar place, then obviously you need to make sure that you are found in all searches from all GPSs, including Google, but also people's car GPSs. That's important as well. And then finally, there's very specific platforms that cater to very specific industries. And I think you probably know what those are if you're in one of those super duper niche industries. So those are just the brief overview of the 20 that I see like all the time that actually work and are consistent and over time become predictable if they're done very well. There are a few others that I haven't seen be very successful, so I've tried to leave those off. But here are the 20 that I believe actually work and the ones that I've seen work on a regular basis. As you can see from this 20 ways to get customers, there's nothing passive about that. You'll have to work on moving these active incomes to semi-active incomes through outsourcing various parts of it at a later time. And someday, fold those profits into purely passive earned interest income. The trick is to do all this without getting burned out and without completely wasting your time. So how do people do it? Well, one factor is that they change their way of thinking. You're going to have to accept the fact that you can't earn your way to wealth. Let me say that again. You're never going to earn your way to financial freedom. How are you going to do it? You're going to save your way. You're going to use compounding interest to get you there. I know this isn't what you want to hear. It's much easier to listen to a snake oil salesman because they're going to tell you exactly what you want to hear. Can you become an internet millionaire? Yes, of course you can. It's not rocket science. If you're willing to work hard and you're willing to follow strategies that work, you can actually get there. But it's not going to happen overnight. You can learn about this all on your own for free on the internet. The problem is you have to sift through a lot of snake oil to get to the meat of what it is you need to learn. It's much easier to hire a professional wealth planner or to find a course. But if it's a course, it better be focused on you creating your own, not you repeating somebody else's idea. That's really important. For 20 years, I've been a financial advisor for entrepreneurs, an interim CFO for startups, and a strategist for growing businesses. And in order to help my clients, I had to develop a bunch of different tools for them to use to face their everyday challenges. Most have had the same questions and needed the same advice, but all needed resources to help them through the process. They all needed their own roadmap and their own path, something that took their skill sets and their tolerance levels for risk and their own personalities into account. Otherwise, they weren't able to do it. Time and time again, I kept creating these resources for people until finally I've accumulated most of my knowledge into a book series and a course that I offer online and in the real world. My books and classes all involve very practical approaches to achieving wealth through self-assessment, honest review of yourself and your skills, small decisions that you need to make that are going to lead to mapping out larger task lists, schedules, reverse engineering, until finally you get to your finalized roadmap. We're coming up on the end of our free workshop. I sincerely hope that you found some value in the 15 ways to monetize yourself, the ideas for breaking through the internet noise, or the 20 ways to reach customers. These tools have been a cornerstone of Golden Egg's wealth strategy plan for our clients, and only recently are we starting to put them online. Whether you want to be rich or you just want to make enough money so you're not so dependent on your 9-to-5 job, you're going to need a custom plan to get you there. And whether you use Golden Egg or any professional wealth manager or a life coach, or you just binge on YouTube how-to videos, that's fine. Regardless, you need to take a step back and look at your bigger picture and figure out your bigger plan. Otherwise, you'll be perpetuating that cycle of hope, buying snake oil, working hard, failing, getting disappointed, and so on and so on and so on. And that's great for the snake oil salesman, but not so great for you. Look, I know you want it bad. You're chomping at the bit to make money. I get that. And you know what? That's great energy, and you're going to need it. But the reason that you haven't already become an internet millionaire is because you haven't fully committed to it. Aren't you tired of this? Aren't you ready to get serious about your financial future?